Hey, what's up, you guys? So, one thing I was reminded of enrolling a new client today is that a lot of people are just confused. They are confused and can't make a decision on what to start. So, what do I mean by that? They're about to try and start a path of health, get better, maybe change the diet. And when they search online, it's so much information that they are just overwhelmed and don't know where to start. Like, should I go keto and paleo and vegetarian? And should I work with this doctor or a health coach or go see somebody, right? All these other factors. Should I sign up with this program? But let me give you 3 principles that I share with 95% of my clients. And while I'm working with someone, just to give you a little context, the first month that I work with someone during my signature program, which is a 4 to 6 month program, functional medicine program that I work with people, that first month I let them know, hey, we're just going to go through some simple dietary transitions. We're going to remove some inflammatory foods week by week, little by little. And during this first few weeks, I'm not trying to fix you. I'm not trying to make you feel all better. I'm really trying to learn about you. I'm trying to learn what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your habits are, and kind of getting a lay of the land so that way I know how to best lead you to the promised land, so to speak, right? How to reach your results, how to get your goals, how to reverse that chronic illness, all those wonderful things. So with that being said, I got 3 principles today to simplify nutrition that I really tell all my clients. And the first one is called the coin principle. The second one is do what Momma says. And the third one is your Fab 5. All right. So these are 3 simple principles that I've named because I want my clients to think about health and build new habits and do it in ways that it's easy, simplified, and can ultimately become part of the lifestyle and not just some program that they get great results in and then everything goes to shit the year after this program, right? So number 1, coin principle. So here we have a coin and there's always 2 sides to a coin, right? So whenever most people, and I do a history with them, I talk about their experiences, most people when they're doing a diet plan are so focused on what they're removing, what they can't have, their cravings, the sugar, oh, I miss my bagel, all these things. And eventually, let's say they stick with it for a while and you cut out everything, right? Most people I see, they get down to just the basic whole foods and they're stuck in this space like, I don't know what to eat and nothing sounds good and I have no options and I just want to eat the old stuff. So a lot of people that once they whittle down, they haven't focused on the other side of the coin. And the other side of the coin is what you should be eating. So I always say functional medicine is like a coin. On one hand of it, we're talking about nutrition right now. On one hand, we are trying to focus on all of the things that are going to hurt the body, make it sick, make it more inflamed, make it worse. So if there's anything and everything that would keep someone from reaching a goal, we want to remove those things or address them, okay? But the other side of the coin is this. What are all the things that is going to help heal the body, right? Make it less inflamed, have better metabolism, have better hormone balance, right? Have better have better function, so we have better body composition, we lose that belly fat and all that stuff. So each week when I'm working with a client, number 1, I remind them the coin principle. And each week as we remove just a few foods at a time, I used to throw people in the deep end on day 1, and that just is overwhelming. But as we remove just a select few, I immediately get them mentally to shift over. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to eat? What's the alternative? What's the new recipe? What's the new snack idea? What are your cravings and how can we come up with some alternative, right? So that's the mindset I get them in with the coin principle is as we're removing the bad stuff, we also gotta be immediately focusing on what to bring in with the good stuff. Because if you don't replace bad habits and there's a void there, much more likely those bad habits come back. Okay, so coin principle, and number 2 is do what Momma says. So this principle, I'm going to tell you what to do and then why. So number 1, Do What Momma Says is basically, I want most of my clients that first month to get back to 3 square meals per day, no snacking. And I call it the Do What Mom Says principle because back in the 80s and 90s, when I was growing up and culturally, we were on this kind of 3 meal per day schedule, right? If you went to mom before dinner and said, "Mom, I'm so hungry, can I eat?" Back in the day, she used to say something like, "No, honey, dinner's almost ready. You're going to ruin your appetite," right? And so what do we do? Suck it up and then wait for dinner and eat up all our dinner. Now, on the flip side of that, let's say you finish dinner and you didn't really eat everything, or maybe it's an hour after dinner and you come to mom and say, "Mom, I'm so hungry. I'm still hungry. Can I eat something?" And she'll go, "Well, honey, you should have ate all your dinner. You're gonna have to wait for breakfast," right? So, why do I say that? Most people today are all over the map. They're snacking, foraging whenever they can. Maybe they get one consistent meal per day. Sometimes the one consistent meal is not that nutritious in the first place, or just straight up bad. And I want to give my clients a baseline. Say, let's lay the baseline. Let's create some structure. Let's handle the logistics of when you're going to eat. And I want you to get to 3 square meals per day. And physiologically, that's really going to help cut down on some inflammatory hormones, most importantly called insulin. So when you're eating constantly, you're snacking, plus your meals, the average person might consume something, calories maybe 8 to 10 times throughout the day between all the different snacks and meal times. Now, every time you're doing that, you're getting an insulin release. And hyperinsulinemia, too much insulin, can be very inflammatory, can create a lot of other hormone imbalances, and it's a fat-storing hormone, so you really don't want more of it, okay? So when we cut down to just 3 meals per day, we're actually decreasing the amount of times that your body has to be secreting more insulin to deal with glucose metabolism, okay, without getting too crazy. 3 meals per day, keep in mind, is not the end-all be-all, okay? So if you want to take this down a path of intermittent fasting, well, can you do 3 meals first without the snacking? For a lot of patients, I'd say 50% of them, just getting to this sometimes can be a little difficult. And it's not because that they're always starving and craving per se. A lot of times that first meal, breakfast, they always say, "I have no appetite." Well, all right, totally understand. Then take a bite and build up from there. I don't expect you to jump to this by tomorrow. Let's keep practicing and working on it. But this first month, I need you to get to 3 meals, no snacking, and we'll lay that as a baseline to continue to get better. So that's going to be a great thing to help somebody. And if you're a healthcare professional helping other clients, it gives you a wonderful baseline that if you need to take it to 8-16 intermittent fasting, well, now they're much more prepared for that. If you need to get them focused on specific meal plans, macronutrient balances, well, now you know when they're eating and hopefully they're on a regular schedule, and then you can give them some ideas from there. All right, so number 1 was the coin, number 2, do what Momma says, and number 3, last one, is find your Fab 5. So this is a great practice because health as you know it, we're not taught this stuff in modern society. We're not taught in school how to be great at personal finance, at personal health, at relationships, at all of these things. So where do you really learn it? Okay, so this Fab 5 is about putting in the time, the effort, and the investment. Okay, if you don't know how to do something, just like we were born, all of us were born not knowing how to do anything, you had to learn it, right? So if you've learned some unhealthy habits, some ways of being that is not supporting your goals and your health, and you want to change it, then bottom line, I'm sure there's probably some new skills and habits you need to learn and adopt and practice, okay? It's not like, oh, I'm going to decide to do a new habit and boom, all of a sudden you're doing it. There's entire books written about personal development, self-development. It's an entire industry because it's not as easy as just flipping a switch. So here's the practice. I want all my clients making minimum at least one new recipe with one new ingredient every single week. If they want to do 2, 3, 4, and 5 per week, excellent. It's just going to make it faster. So I did this back when I was younger in college, and I had to heal my gut dealing with some digestive issues, and no good. But for a future time, I'll break that down. And at that time, I self-identified as a horrible person in the kitchen. I don't know how to cook. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know what to shop for. Blah, blah, all these horrible objections and mindsets that just weren't true, or maybe true at the time, but gave me an opportunity to work on them. So what I did is every week I Googled a recipe, I looked in a book, I looked at a blog, and tried one new healthy recipe, whether it was Paleo or Keto or Mediterranean or whatever it is. I generally knew what was going to be healthy and what was going to be a lot of processed foods. And while the recipes back then weren't perfect, I practiced every single week, and I'll tell you this, it took me probably 60 to 70 different recipes to try until I found my Fab 5. The 5 recipes that fit my criteria, and here's the criteria. It's got to be fast, meaning you can make it, whip it together in under 10 to 15 minutes. It's got to taste really good, and it's got to be simple. Those were my criteria. Oh, and of course, it's got to be healthy. So those were my criteria when I was going through it. And why it took 60 recipes is sometimes I'd try it and it's like, okay, that's too complicated. That takes too long. Okay, that doesn't even taste good. All these other things. And then till finally, now I have my Fab 5 recipes. And I want everyone to find what those recipes are for you, because it's such an important tool. When I get home after a long day's work, just like you and just like everyone else, I don't feel like whipping up, a whole meal and cooking. I much more feel like going back to an old habit of just driving to the restaurant and ordering Grubhub or, doing something like that. However, because I have my Fab 5, I know these recipes can be whipped up quickly. It's either made with my Instapot air fryer or something simple like that, or I just barbecue. But that allows me to, even when I'm tired, fatigued, and don't feel like it, can walk in. I don't need to think about it. I already know the ingredients. I already know the recipes, and I know I can put it together in 10 to 15 minutes. So it's such an important skill to have, and I wasn't born with it. It didn't come easy. I had to go through 60, 70 recipes or whatever it was to act in a year to really find that Fab 5. All right, you guys. So whether you're going to hop on or you're undecided for a diet and you don't know where to go, I'm going to say stick to these 3 and hop on these 3 first, because on some level, these 3 principles are going to help you no matter which path you decide. Whether you're going to go vegetarian and experiment with that, whether you're going to experiment with carnivore and low carb, high fat, or full-blown ketogenic diet, or paleo diet, or Mediterranean, or Atkins, or I'm not here to judge you on whatever you want to do. I think everyone should have some experience with these strategies, but these 3 can really help. The coin principle, don't forget to focus on the good stuff. As you eliminate week by week some inflammatory foods, you should be thinking, what can I bring in? Number 2, do what Momma says. So at least get down to 3 meals, 3 square meals per day. It takes practice, it takes some work and adjustments, and I'll address that in future videos. But if you could get to 3 meals, it's a great baseline if you want to double down and start going to 2 meals, OMAD, 1 meal a day, or practice some of these other strategies. It gives you that framework, and it helps prime the body to get ready for something like that. And then the third one, find your Fab 5. It's just a great practice, great skill, and it's very hard to live a very modern, healthy life in our society if you don't have some of these new skills, or you don't have the money to pay other people. So, yes, if you're a millionaire, you got a lot of expendable cash, you can order from Thrive Market groceries. You can order pre-made or pre-cooked or recipes already sent to you, shipped to you, paleo, keto meals and all these things. Great. If that works for you and you can afford it, excellent. Do whatever you can. But if you can't, practicing and finding that Fab Five is a wonderful practice. I've experimented with both, ordering foods, getting recipes, all these things. The Fab Five has saved me a countless number of times. I live in California. My go-to thing on my cheat days is a breakfast burrito from one of the local Mexican shops. I love them. I grew up eating them my whole life. So oftentimes that's my biggest temptation. I don't have it all the time, but if I was in a weak moment and I didn't have my Fab Five, I'd often take a left turn in and get that breakfast burrito, which might not serve me at the time in reaching my goals. All right, you guys, I hope that helps. I hope it gives you a little bit of framework and some insights. I went way too long on this video. Sorry for it being so shaky. Should probably put on a stand next time. All right, you guys, Dr. Mike, I'll see you next time. Bye.